Doctor, you talked about diet and how you personalize a diet. Why do you need to do that, and how do you determine which diet for which person?
Humans are a very variable species, and we've occupied just about every ecological niche around the world except traditionally, and there was no one living in Antarctica. But you have, for example, the Eskimos lived on an all-meat diet, and they were studied extensively at the turn of the last century and by McGill University between 1929 and 1934. They sent a team to study the Eskimos. Traditional Eskimos lived on nothing but red meat. You think about it, up in the Arctic, there are no fruits, vegetables, nuts,
Yeah.
seeds, and grains. All there is lichen and lots of meat. Caribou, seals, walruses, fish, salmon, whales, and that's what they lived on. The traditional Eskimo diet was 100% animal products, 80% fat, 20% protein. It was really a high-fat diet, huge amounts of saturated fat. And traditional Eskimos never had heart disease, stroke, hypertension, diabetes. Only when they moved into the towns and villages and started eating white sugar, white flour, carbohydrate, that's when they developed epidemic diabetes, heart disease, mental illness, cancer. Traditional Eskimos never had mental illness. So the humans are very variable. Then you get equatorial peoples who were surrounded by thousands of edible plants, tubers, fruits, nuts, seeds, not as much animal protein. You have the Maasai in Kenya that traditionally lived on nothing but milk and blood and some meat. And they had herds of cattle. When they would drink, the average Maasai warrior would drink a gallon, up to a gallon of raw milk a day with blood, and was a high-fat milk. Then you go up to the high Andes, you've got the traditional descendants of the Incas that lived on a grain-based diet. So humans traditionally adapted to a variety of different diets with varying amounts of animal protein, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. Polynesians, for example, lived in a completely different diet. It was a coconut-based diet. They ate fish, some wild animals, but a lot of it was coconut-based. They would eat coconut fruit, make coconut oil, drink the coconut milk. The Eskimos never drank coconuts. They didn't have coconuts, but the Polynesians thrived on that. So if these traditional cultures could not do well on these idiosyncratic diets, they would have died out. The fact is the Eskimos, physiologically and biochemically, are adjusted to eating red meat. Like lions and tigers eat nothing but red meat, and they do great. Try and feed a lion greens or grains, they're going to be dead in 6 weeks. Gazelles eat nothing but grain. Gazelles never eat meat. They eat nothing but grass on the savannas. So humans are about as variable. You got the Eskimo lions eating nothing but red meat. The Maasai drinking milk, doing great on milk. Traditional Maasai were extremely healthy, and they drank a gallon of milk a day, raw, of course. You got Polynesians living on coconuts, and they did fabulous, and other things as well. So different groups of humans adjusted to different diets, and the U.S. particularly, we're a melting pot. We're famous as that. We got people that are genetically meat eaters, genetically vegetarians, and everyone in between. And it's absolutely critical to provide the right diet or prescribe the right diet for each patient. Food is fuel. You have a Mercedes-Benz, you put water into it, you just ruined your car. On the other hand, if you have a steam engine, you put diesel fuel into a steam engine, it's going to explode. You put water into a steam engine, it works fine. Well, humans are about as variable. Food is fuel. You have to put the right fuel into the right engine, otherwise it's going to work well. And the right engine for us, the engine that we are requires the right food, the right fuel. Eskimos, genetically based meat eaters, need fatty red meat, and they thrive on it and never get heart disease. People who have genetics from more of a plant-based group, like from the equatorial areas, they need fruits and veggies and leafy greens and that kind of thing. And that, you give the body the right fuel, the right food, it works better. Whatever the problem is, be it cancer or toenail fungus, the body will work better with the right food, which is the fuel that keeps us going.